From traveling to the future to save their daughter's life, to saying goodbye to their family forever. This is Brianna and Roger's time travel journey explained. Things are getting real in Season 7. Time travel is as normal as breathing in Outlander. A bunch of the characters are able to go back and forth between different eras. We've seen our favorite mother-daughter duo get supposedly stuck in the future forever. And the same has happened to Bree and Roger a handful of times now. But this time, it's different. They're in a serious bind. No more messing around at Fraser's Ridge only to end up back where they started. Seriously, they've left us hanging too many times. The situation is urgent. Bree just had their baby, Mandy. And let me tell you, it was the cutest thing ever when Jamie introduced his newborn grandchild to the horse he'll eventually teach her to ride. I could binge watch a whole hour of Jamie holding her and talking to horses. No joke. And Claire did her thing too by introducing Mandy to her medical equipment. That's when she found something horrible, a defect in the baby's heart. Now, back in their own time, it'd be an easy fix. But here, the healer can't do anything. There's no way she can operate on her safely. And without surgery, Mandy doesn't stand a chance at surviving. Which leaves them with one option only: traveling back to the future. They get to Lord John's place in Wilmington to get some gemstones because, you know, they can't travel without them. Once they've got all the gems they need, Bree and Roger are ready to make their journey with their kids. But not before a heartbreaking goodbye. It starts with Jamie and his daughter walking through the forest with fireflies all around them. The setting couldn't have been any sweeter. They talk about the weirdest combination of things, like Jamie's son William, the future, and also Mickey Mouse and Disneyland. Jamie can't wrap his head around people hugging a giant rat, and his reaction is priceless. He even calls him Michael Mouse, imagine that. Also, can I just take this moment to say that Bree being a Disney adult makes so much sense. We need a whole episode of the Mackenzies at Disneyland, but here's where the waterworks started for me. Their final conversations were more than enough for me to finish an entire pack of tissues. Claire told Roger to take care of their girl, and Jamie tells him he's proud of him. Then, Roger promises to tell their kids all the stories about their grandparents, except maybe the one about the snake bite, as per Jamie's wishes. They try their best to make the goodbye less painful by talking about how they'll see each other again, because they always do. They've said goodbye before and found their way back to each other. So, who knows if this is truly the last time they'll see each other? There's always hope. When it comes to Jamie, he can't find the right words to say to his daughter, but he doesn't need to. She fills the silence with the most beautiful sentiment. She tells him nothing is lost, only changed, and that she'll carry him within her forever. And just like that, poof, they're gone. The worst part of all, though, was seeing the couple's faces after watching their loved ones disappear. They looked even worse than heartbroken. How do you recover from that kind of loss? According to Jamie, the only reason he can keep going is because of Claire. Otherwise, he'd have given up. But the real question is still looming over our heads. What happens to the Frasers and Mackenzies now? Is there a reunion on the horizon or not? If we look at the books, a reunion's the way to go. Since Wendigo Donner's attack is over and the ridge has burned down, the show's come to the end of the 6th Outlander book, A Breath of Snow and Ashes. We're gearing up for the events that take place in the 7th book, An Echo in the Bone. And that means everyone's in big trouble. They've got a huge gap of 2 centuries between them. But Bree's parents' letters form a connection that bridges this gap. Once the couple reaches Fiona Graham in Scotland, they receive these letters that give updates on their parents' lives in North Carolina. It sounds so sweet. Too bad it ends up being the worst thing possible. There's talk of hidden gold in those letters, and of all people, Jemmy is the one who knows its location, which puts him in a very dangerous situation. In the book, Brianna ends up working for the Hydroelectric Board as a plant inspector in the 1900s, where she meets a guy named Rob Cameron. Long story short, Cameron discovers Roger's draft of a practical guide for time travelers and finds out about the hidden gold. That can't be too good. He comes up with an awful plan to force Brianna into revealing the gold's location by kidnapping Jemmy and making them believe he took him back through the stones to the past. With Jemmy missing and Buck Mackenzie unexpectedly coming back from the past, Roger decides to travel back in time with his ancestor to search for his son. So time travel continues to play a big part in their lives. That, too, in their timeline. Jamie would have never talked about the gold if Bree hadn't gone back to save him and Claire, and Roger wouldn't have written his book if he hadn't followed his wife to the 1700s. But wait, where did Buck come from? For those who haven't read the book, I might have dropped a bombshell just now. Yep, that's right. Buck Mackenzie makes a reappearance in Roger's life after all that went down between them. He ends up traveling to the future by accident, and he needs his distant relative to help him return home. But his presence can't come easily to our boy. If you've forgotten why, let me refresh your memory. In Season 5, Buck traumatized the poor guy by accusing him of adultery, which ended with Roger hanging by his neck from a rope. And to spin your head even more, Buck is the illegitimate son of Galis Duncan and Dougal Mackenzie. So yeah, their reunion is bound to be complicated. Probably the most complicated situation he's been in so far, making Season 7 one of the most interesting chapters in Roger's journey so far. And they've already introduced Buck's return to Roger's life. This theory isn't much of a theory anymore, since it looks like they're following the book's plot after all. Of all the problems they've faced ever since they came back to the future, Jemmy's imagination has been the weirdest. Now hold on, because this will all make sense in a bit. You could say that he just has a wild imagination. I mean, the kid has some serious knowledge of Scottish folklore, which neither of his parents gave him. He's also got a special way of seeing things, and always speaks what he believes to be true, even if it leaves everyone scratching their heads. But this time around, he did something you couldn't blame on his imagination. Was it a lie that the Knuckleavies ate the food? Maybe that was all part of the plan. If you think about who could have been asking Jemmy for food while giving that explanation, it's already happened in an echo in the bone. Have you put two and two together yet? Yep, I'm talking about Buck. It seems like a stroke of luck for him when he finds the Mackenzies at Lallybroch in the 7th book. They can take him back to his own time. But first, they've got to go back to the past to look for Jemmy. This twist will bring both Buck and time travel back into the picture, making things a whole lot more interesting. But fans are more worried about their return. The way the family said their goodbyes, they were right to think it meant they'd never get to see each other again. I mean, their parents are getting older now, and the chances of them going back are slim to none, especially if we consider all of them, kids included. That's the main issue a lot of fans brought up after the 2nd episode aired. Since they shifted to a different timeline to save their daughter, they are no longer in sync with Jamie and Claire. Mandy is now healthy and grown after a time jump of several years. So even if they do eventually make their way back to the 18th century, there will have to be a time jump for Jamie and Claire as well. And for all the fans who are dying to see the whole family reunited again, there are a bunch of them who don't see the hype about Bree and Roger. That's right, some fans think they've got no chemistry, while others think Brianna acts bad. Even so, if they do follow the 7th book and Roger does end up returning to the past for Jemmy, the entire family will face a challenge unlike any before. So there you have it. From saying goodbye to their family forever, to traveling to the future to save their daughter's life. This was Brianna and Roger's time travel journey, explained.